YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. We've got the Blade 230S again. We've got some LEDs turned on this time during the day. We flew this earlier on 850 milliamp hours. We have a 1300 3S in there now. This is a Gen 1 pack, so it has a balanced lead, and that's how we're powering the lights. Really cool all in one pack. I've been practicing with this, and our driveway has been in some sort of an upgrade / repair status because we filled all these cracks. We're gonna fly this again today. I'm feeling more and more comfortable with this plane. Helicopter, see, I can't even call it a helicopter. And I did crash into some trees today, and yes, it lived to see another day. All I did was clean the mud off the tail rotor, and that's it. Okay, here we go. Takeoff flaps are not on. Hey, you wanna come back, mind me? Okay, here we go. I'm feeling so much more comfortable with this thing. Safe is just amazing. Those taillights are really helping with orientation, yes. Believe it or not. It's surprising. That little subtle hint of suggestion is helpful. I'm a little bit weirded out by the oscillation on the tail rotor. I'm just gonna assume that's normal because it is flying otherwise very good. So let's go into the middle mode here. Now you guys can really see what the heck was going on. It's just what happens is with the helis, they're small. And personally speaking, I have trouble differentiating what direction I'm going because there's such a small, subtle difference in the look of them. And that's what happens with a narrow body aircraft too, like an airplane. And we're in the middle mode right now. And that means that we have basically mixed in only up, but not necessarily a lot of down, okay? And then in the full crazy mode, we can do up and down, which just is so cool. And the thing I love about all this is, check this out. I can do barrel rolls. Okay, into the middle mode. It's just one of those things where it's like you get your brain used to it after a little bit, and then you're gonna be okay with it. You do have to coordinate your turns to keep your tail in the correct position. This is out of safe now. Very proud to say that, obviously. But the stabilization is literally second to none, folks. Don't hate me for being imperfect on this. Just loving it, guys. Doing loops with impunity here. I'm telling you, if we had some white lights on the front that actually were easier to see during the day, it would really help. It would help me. If it was shaped like a big airplane, it would also help. So cool. You can do some crazy stuff with helicopters that you cannot do with airplanes, folks. Like take off from my yard. Maybe some of you, right? That is sure. So cool.
Just keep telling yourself that.
So guys, I don't know if you guys are feeling the same way I am about this thing, but I'm feeling like it's awesome. And yes, I have stayed out of safe for the vast majority of this flight. And yes, this thing crashed into a tree today, earlier. And I literally did nothing to fix it other than wipe the mud off of the tail rotor. I'm serious. You guys think I'm lying, I'm sure you do. Because I would if somebody told me that. Look at this thing, guys. The camera crew hates filming it too. Mm-hmm. Okay, into the craziest mode. And safe. Stunt one again. By the way, when you're in safe mode, full on safe mode without idle up, that's when you're gonna notice that weird timing issue on the motor prop speed compared to the other things. Just look at how solid it is. I hope you're seeing half of this, hon.
I'm seeing half of it, yeah.
Half?
No.
That is so cool. Guys, thanks for bearing with us while we were doing the concrete. It's all about trying to keep this stuff in good shape for a long time because we use it a little bit more than the average bear, as you can imagine. Look at that, so easy. And this 1300 milliamp pack does so much better. You just have so much more flight time. And when I say more, I mean like maybe, there's normal mode. Red is right returning. That's what happened to me last time when I crashed, is I got myself a little bit disoriented because the birds were freaking going nuts, thinking it was like a giant dragonfly. It was hilarious. And what I did was I got myself into the safe mode. Look at those bugs. Do you see them?
Where?
Well, I can see them. I don't know if they'll be able to see them.
I don't see bugs.
I'll go on the inside here. You want to take a step out toward the road there? More. Thank you. Perfect. Guys, this thing, it's just rock solid, folks. Nope. Back where you were. Thank you. In safe, it is just, I'm saying rock solid. Really, really rock solid, folks. 1300 milliamp pack really helps on flight times. And I mean, to be honest with you, it can handle the weight, no problem. I'm very, very tempted to strap a 2200 right under the belly of it and just fly it that way. But honestly, this is by far the best heli that I've ever had. And yes, it is probably the lowest in the line card from Horizon. So at this point, well, I mean, outdoor flying range. They do have a couple of indoor blade helis, but I'm thinking we're gonna be doing some bigger helis because I'm feeling so much more confident and I'm so much happier with this. Plus, if you guys are into scale helicopters like I am, then you're gonna be really, really happy to hear that there's a few websites that offer some different scale looking bodies like Hueys, things like this. That would be so cool in our river. And when I say river, I mean creek, also known as a drainage ditch, because that would look just like we were flying right through Vietnam. And that would be really, really, really cool. And then you never know when the predator is gonna come out and put those 3 red dots and blow something up. Do you have any clue what I'm talking about, camera crew?
Probably a movie that I should have seen that I haven't.
Whatever. Should have seen is a very relative term. Probably a movie I shouldn't have seen.
Oh.
As a kid.
Okay. It's probably more accurate.
It is just so cool, guys. And I'm really getting the hang of it, as in starting to do stupid things and with impunity, folks. Ooh, critically low. Did you guys hear it? I did. I heard a critically low warning. And by the way, we did try to fly this on an Onyx 3S 800, and it just was a little bit pissed off at me the whole time. Every time I tried to flip, it was just running low on battery. I can tell I'm kind of getting ready to juice out here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it down. I'm just trying to do it in not a lame way, like in the grass. That would be lame. There's something about helicopters too, as a tip, okay? Before you throttle hold, if it gets a little bit weird and oscillaty at the end when it's slowing down, you can click into your middle mode or the bottom mode and you can put downward pressure and really suck that thing to the ground. Now it's still gonna go through that oscillation at the end where any imbalance that wasn't worked out by the speed of the prop, you'll notice it didn't oscillate much. I noticed that when it's in the basic mode where it's spinning up the motor and spinning up the pitch, you do tend to get more of that weird as you slow down. Was that a good description?
That's great.
Okay.
You'll be really happy that that's on the internet forever.
So just listen. This is what I'm talking about. Watch this. See that?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Was that a good description? Okay, all right. I just want to make sure I was being clear enough.
Pretty accurate.
So anyway, folks, without further ado, all I've got to say is that this plane, and I'm just going to own it. It's a plane with 2 wings and a prop. Okay, look, it's still got crap on it. Just to prove the truth of my story, okay? This legit went, That's the noise it sounds like. Like if I took a baseball and threw it at that tree, that's what it sounded like. And I'm like, well, that's the end of an era. And I walked inside and I said, time to do some secret agent things. And we got it back. Look, that's the damage right there. There's like some smudge on there. And then you can see a little bit of dirt on the blades. I couldn't believe it. I walked up to it, it's chilling there, just chilling there, kind of like this. Just like, hey, I can't start. And I was trying to find it by giving just a little kiss of throttle because I figured I'd hear gears meshing. And I tried doing this, but it didn't do anything because you can't hear that.
No.
When you're 20 feet
Not
away.
in the woods.
And there's like, you know, chimpanzees howling and tigers roaring.
See, now they're not going to believe you.
Yeah, no, there wasn't any of that stuff.
Like crickets
There
and
was
cicadas.
crickets. Like this, or that thing, whatever that is. Anyway, so the moral of the story is, this thing is awesome. It's so much more awesome than I even realized just a few days ago. Look at the video we just published. The things suck compared to this. And that's all on me. And I think I owned it, clearly. But at the same time, I also want to show you one other thing. You want to hold that there, camera crew? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we did use up the voltage this time. Okay, so we're at 3.75, let's call it. Jeez, this transmitter's in the spray zone. Gross. 10 minutes. 10 minutes of flight time? Or was that 9? I've been jabbering for a while. Let's call it between 7 and 9 minutes of not nice flight time. I was being very mean to it. And by the way, the tail rotor, it's not even warm, okay? The main motor, just kidding. It's not even bad at all. I'm touching it with my finger right now. Do you see my finger touching it?
Yes, we see.
Okay. It is not burning my flesh, okay? This is a well-designed, well-engineered, fly-barless helicopter. Whatever that means, there's no fly bar. And I love it. And it is very cool, and it looks great, and it flies great. And paired up with the NX8 is gonna give you the confidence. I wanna show you one adjustment I made on one of my settings. I went into dual rates and expo, and in my baby steps, okay, this is my babyest step. I made the ailerons 30, then I made the elevator 35 for pitch control, and then rudder at 20, because I felt like I had good control over that, okay? This is what they recommended basically for rudder, elevator, and aileron. And then on this setting, they had like low rates for outputs at low, okay? So this, I should probably, by rights, I should probably flip that because I typically do the most muted controls up on my airplanes. But I wanted to do this thing bone stock, by the book. That's the only adjustments I've made. And that is totally preference adjustments, just to be totally clear. The other thing too is I'm learning that this is beginner mode, auto level mode, and we turned safe on in our first video where we were binding and flying. This is idle up. Now, throttle holds on, so you'll see the blades moved, but it didn't start spinning. If I had throttle hold off, it would immediately start, see? Okay, now it's back on, okay? This would also be immediately started. So this is you have a lot of up and a lot of down, and this is the middle. This is up, this is down, okay? This is down a little, this is up a little. In this mode, I think it's more like the bottom portion of the stick is down, but then most of the upward portion of the stick is up. In this is no spin and no pitch, or very little pitch. Then a little bit more pitch and a little bit of spin, a little bit more pitch and a little bit more spin, and a little bit more pitch. So what's gonna happen is it's more of like a speed function, and I think they actually had a set at 65% if I remember right from the manual. So those pitch curves and throttle curves will make these helicopters behave in more of a baby-like method or more of an expert-like method, depending on what you're going for. I prefer them to be more baby-like. But as you can see, look at the flying. It's not like, I mean, you would walk up and from a distance, you'd think I knew what I was doing. But there is a lot of guesswork that's going into that flight, just so you guys know, and that's full disclosure. When I fly planes, I feel like I have good authority of what's going on. I'm in charge of it, And I'm not guessing. It's just, I mean, maybe when I'm cornholing, but generally speaking, if I'm flying it, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing ahead of what I'm doing, and I have a plan for it, and I do it and execute. Sometimes I make mistakes like hit trees and power poles and power lines and houses and people and things like that. But I pretty much tell it where to go, like what person to hit and all that. So anyway, if you're flying this helicopter, well, I like you, well, just because you don't get out of the way. So this helicopter is great. I'm still learning a lot. I'm actually going out every day. I'm flying this when I can, and I'm really enjoying it. So it's strange because with as many planes as we fly, I mean, we really enjoy most of them. But the thing is, enjoying a plane once or twice is very different than me picking it out of 100 choices and saying, I want to fly you.
Yeah.
I want to fly you F-16 80mm. I want to fly you Draco. I want to fly you Beaver. I want to, you know, there's a lot of choices downstairs, and it's overwhelming, actually. It's like a kid in a candy store style overwhelming. But in this case, I am committing to getting better at flying these helis because I think that there is so much out there for you guys, and I think you fixed wing guys could really get a kick out of this. Now, I'm not saying you're going to replace your fixed wing addiction. It's not for me.
Just adding to
Adding to the addiction because you didn't have any expensive toys you already wanted.
You totally needed more things.
You totally needed more. But the other thing is, I want to be able to fly this upside down. I don't want to be just flying it here like a baby. I want to be flying it upside down, and I want to be flying it upside down with control and grace and not just guesswork. She was giving me the look. So we'll see how that goes.
And if you're going to get this, even if you don't think you're going to fly at night, those lights make a huge difference.
They do help.
Just for like regular flying.
And it's surprising just how much it really does help.
Yeah.
I wish that the white lights that are under the canopy showed through a little bit better. And yes, you can actually put the lights on the outside, but that would be a bear cat every time you have to put the battery in. Also, note to self, if you're listening, Horizon and or every other manufacturer of helis, and I know you heli guys are gonna be like, shut up, Brian, it's not that big a deal. Okay, listen, heli people. Why do we have to struggle to put stinking batteries in these things? Why? Why have you not come up with some other better way than to have to take this stupid thing off? You know for sure that that plastic is gonna break eventually. Yeah. After you take this thing off 50 times, even if you don't go crash into a tree like I did today, which by the way, it didn't break. That had broke before I did that. That one glue joint. Oh. So full disclosure, I mean, I don't care. I broke it, but no big deal. It's because I screwed it up. But anyway, this helicopter is awesome. My biggest complaint with it is it's a pain to take this cover off. That being said, that's normal among, that's something that heli people have tolerated. Evidently, they didn't have a Brian Phillips RC complaining about it for years. So that's next on the list of things to complain about. I'll just write that down on my notepad. So if we could get something that didn't have to be such a pain to do, it'd be sweet. Like for instance, on the the Apache, where there's 4 magnets that barely hang on, but you have to just perfectly put it on. Okay, maybe that's worse, but it still looks really cool. So with that, we bid thee adieu. This thing is awesome. Check the links in the video description below. You will love this. This is good if you're a fixed wing pilot, if you're a quad pilot, if you're a heli pilot. If you're a heli pilot and you don't already have this, I'd be surprised because it's very popular amongst the heli pilots. But if you're an intermediate pilot, you should have no problems flying this in safe. Don't be afraid of the bind and fly. There's only one thing they forgot to tell you about in the manual, and I will tell you about it in our bind and fly, and that has to do with the warning for switch H, which is in our case set up as the throttle hold, which by the way, kind of a big mistake to not have that set up in the manual. And I don't know, did we miss it? I don't think we did.
I don't know.
I don't think it was so. There. That's kind of a big deal. That's like a major safety issue. So that being said, set it up, you'll love it, it's good. If you don't want to set it up, if you're like, Brian, I don't want the hassle of setting it up, just get the ready to fly, and the DXS does a great job. It feels close to this. I would say that this is better because now I can sit there and fine tune and fine adjust stuff. And you know, I'm a tweaker like that. So I do like to play with the settings a little bit. So there you have it, guys. Very cool, very cool. And no, the LEDs aren't included, just like with the Ultrix, but totally different situation. I don't think everybody is gonna want the LEDs, just to be honest. It would be really cool to have visibility difference on this side from this, or that from this. It's just hard on helis. They're just narrow. you know, look at that. Look at that. That thing was at 400 feet away. How are you going to tell?
Yeah.
You got to have some good eyes. All right, that's all you get for today. Thanks for watching, guys. We have so much more coming on Brian Phillips RC. Check the link in the video description below. Throw us a bone. If you're buying this thing anyway, just buy it from the link. You'll support us with financials, and then you don't have to give us anything through Patreon or PayPal, but if you prefer to do that, we'll take that too. Either way, any of those three. But if you can't do any of that, please like the video, come back, watch tons of videos, watch like the whole 5-hour unbox, build, and radio setup of a few of our, those are our short ones, right? Mm-hmm. Much more to come. Thanks for watching. All right, guys, so you just saw the flight, and we're filming this in reverse order. But as you can see, we've got lights on here, and we've got the JST connector that came with the nightlight kit. Now, you could wire that into your transmitter, you know, like just parallel with the power from any of the servo leads, but as you can see, the servo leads are very small in there. Okay, so it's gonna be a pain in the neck to do that. So instead, I made myself a little 3S to 1S or 3S on the outside most leads so that I can plug that into the balance lead on my Gen 1 1300. And you're like, but Brian, you need the 850 milliamp to fly this heli, I thought, with the IC2 as opposed to the IC3. Well, that's true unless you build an adapter for that too, which again, I also built that adapter. So I just wanted to show you how we did this. I used an EC3 connector here that goes out to a JST, and then from the JST it goes to an adapter to this IC2. Yes, that's a little bit lame. The reason I did it that way is because I wanted to be able to plug in different styles of batteries to that IC2 connector. Now, the big compromise is that you're going from this big, beefy, chunky IC3 lead into this little dinky, essentially the same power equivalent as that to get all your power. So really, we probably have more current potential through this small battery, even though it's only 9.4 watt hours, and this battery is 14.43 watt hours. So it's actually producing, it's capable of producing more power for longer. It's not necessarily any more powerful per se, but this connector is capable of producing more current or sustaining more current without burning, okay? So that's the trade-off. The catch is now I can fly this thing. I've got my battery wire strapped through the Velcro, so I can slide this in here like this. And I'm just gonna show you because then, you know, you guys have already seen it fly. So now you can see kind of what it looks like and where I'm positioning it. So it just goes like this. Obviously we have our throttle cut on. We're, instead of 2 batteries to run the lights, we've got 1 battery, 1 adapter. Should be quite easy, I hope. And it would figure if I end up building this thing to be too short, that would really make my day. Well, I guess I could also just go the other way. I gotta go the other way with my lead. That's one thing about a small helicopter. Sometimes you gotta be a little bit careful about where you go so that your wires don't get into your main gear. So I built this adapter, and I should have just made that JST just a little bit longer. But as you can see, then I'll be able to still route that down here, plug it in down here to keep it away from all the goodies. And then this one we can route down and plug in, and I'll show you what that looks like. You guys have already seen it fly. It's a little bit awkward to plug, okay? So that'll help a little bit with visibility as we get ready to fly here in a minute. And I'm just gonna drag this cable. I need to actually tighten this just a hair. I didn't quite get it tight enough. That's one thing I've learned about helicopters is that once you get them set up, if there's a way for you to just kind of keep them set, it's really nice. You can slide the batteries in and out. It's so much easier. But you don't want to get tied up in your cyclic at all. You don't want to have the possibility. See what's happening here? I don't know if you guys can tell, but this is getting really close to the gears. Mm-hmm. So I don't like that at all. So we're going to renegotiate that just a little bit. I'll unplug the balance lead this time. And then I can just resituate things a little bit. Maybe I can do it this way. See if I can get it. I think this is how we started though. So we'll go like this. This one just happens to have that lead. Oh, you know what though? I have another one. Some of these smart packs, I haven't quite figured out why this is, but I have 3 of these 1300 milliamps. See, this one has the lead coming here. This one has a lead coming out here, and this one has a lead coming out here. I don't really understand what the rationale is, But I think maybe in our application, we might get lucky and we can possibly do this in a different way because of where the wires come out. So we'll just try this. This also happens to be a little bit thicker, so it might be a little bit more stout. Okay, so you just want to make sure you're not going to bind up and cause clearance issues. See? Now I think we'll reach, but just barely, which is what we want on a heli. You don't want a lot of extra slack because it just causes other problems. Okay. Sometimes just right is what you need. Okay. Then we can go ahead and wrap this in here and plug it in. And yes, that is quite the process. We're going to let things start before we mess with it. And then we're going to turn this out of the way and we'll plop this canopy cover on. And then you guys have already seen the flight, so hopefully it went as good as I was hoping it would. But we wanted to showcase that because it was just one of those weird things that we used to do all the time, and we just have gotten away from it largely because we don't have enough time to share that footage. We have so many new releases and different things that we've been sharing that we just kind of, it uses up our time. So that's pretty sweet. Easy solution, works really well. All right, guys, if you want to help support the channel, look at the links in the video description below. We'll link to everything we used here with the exception of the connectors because HXT connectors, well, maybe we'll link to, I don't think we have a balance lead. Well, anyway, we'll find a link for the male and female combos or some kit like that in GSTN so you can build one yourself. But there's a million different ways you can skin that cat. All right, guys, come back for more. Thanks for watching.